I know what you're thinking. Is this the booth, drafting the circuits, three-way theater, or the Kevin Jackson show? Well, to tell you the truth, in all this excitement, I kinda lost track myself here on Whoobazoo.com. So, do you feel lucky, punk?
I do when in the booth. The booth. A set of headphones, one microphone, and yo, hold the phone, I'm in the booth. The booth. I share my world when in the booth. The booth. This is all I do when in the booth. The booth. I got one microphone, flow blitz in the zone. Yeah, I ain't load me up, lock me in. I don't care, box me in, cause the booth got me in this brand new zone. Plug me in, turn it up, blitz gon' burn it up. Might start melting down the soundproof phone. One way, so it's one mode. Booth on the bus whenever I'm on the road. Lock in for days and anything goes. It's been 7 days, the same clothes. Still flowing for them dudes sitting outside on the blocks in the booth, but I'm spitting outside of the box. I know where the digits at, where the lyrics at. I ain't never losing, so I ain't gotta get it back. Got commercial music, but I still know how to spit it rap. I'm like the trees on my boots, I grew from the roots. If I'm lying, I'm flying, but I'm the truth. Only one way, my mobile on Rome. I'm underground in the booth. The booth. I share my world when in the booth. The booth. This is all I do when in the booth. The booth. I got a set of headphones and one microphone. And yo, hold the phone, I'm in the booth. The booth. I share my world when in the booth. The booth. This is all I do when in the booth. The booth. I got one microphone. Yeah, I'm in the zone. Yo, Spencer's in the booth.
Was he African?
African.
No, he was American, and he was like you. He looked just like you.
He was Jewish.
Just like
okay, Jew. Okay. It's an odd crime for a Jew to commit.
I'm pretty docile.
Okay, so we have an African Jew wearing a hoodie.
No, you don't. No, that's not what I said. Is that what you heard me say? I said he looked like you. Do you look like an African Jew?
No, I look like a cop.
Yeah.
He was Caucasian.
All right, your boy Sinista1 broadcasting live from the City of Champions. You are listening to The Booth. July 18th, 2017. I got to start the show up and give a big shout out to my brother. It's kind of like an FU shout out because he's in San Diego right now at Comic-Con. Yeah.
We hit, so, no, I mean, not a big shout out. No.
Can you have an FU shout out?
No. He will be burned in hell.
Is it just a straight F? Is it a straight FU?
A straight FU.
Okay.
He will burn in hell for going to Comic-Con without us. I'm sorry. There are certain things you just don't do.
Well, he's out there. He's gone to the San Diego Zoo. He's done all that stuff. He went by Six Flags, but at the end of the day, he's at Comic-Con.
I don't give a damn hang out at the zoo. I don't care if you're going to Six Flags. He's at Comic-Con, okay? And are you at Comic-Con? Am I at Comic-Con?
Nope. We are not at Comic-Con. We are stuck here in Massachusetts with 90-degree freaking weather.
And 110% humidity in the shade.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I mean, I think you know what we need? We need a Cayenne beatdown. You still got that audio clip?
I don't know where I got it, but I remember it, yes.
We need to play that for him when he comes back. It's for his own good.
Yeah. So
take out his Cayenne's name, put in Kevin's name.
Big shout out to my brother Kevin, who's out there. As I said, he's in
San
Diego.
Hope you're listening, Kevin, because I got your number.
He actually is listening. We were actually broadcasting on Facebook Live tonight again, going out over Facebook Live, and for some reason my phone today, I was doing the Kevin Jackson show today, and all of a sudden I lost audio, and I had to hit up Tony, and Tony was like, "Yeah, the audio is going out fine. We can hear everything," and the audio was going out, but I just couldn't hear from my phone. So it's obviously something with my iPhone. I shut the phone off. I turned it back on. I'm still not getting any audio on my iPhone. So it's got to be some type of update or something that shut off in the settings that I don't know about. And I'm going to have to go over my phone. I'm actually on here. Oh, actually, it's back. So let me turn this volume down so you guys aren't getting an echo. But my brother actually is in here now. It says Kevin Kexay has joined. He's actually in the Facebook Live broadcast of the show right now.
Good. Now can I hate on him?
Yeah, you can hate on him. He's listening.
All right, he's at Comic-Con. Did he ask us to go? No. Did he procure us tickets? No.
I hate to break your heart too, to be honest. I think my brother is out there on a free tip. I think he just paid for his flight, and whoever his connection is, I don't even think he paid for tickets to get to what is the hottest thing on the West Coast.
I'm sorry. All right. Now I've gone from, hatred to pathological hatred. I'm sorry. No, for those of you who don't know what Comic-Con is, well, let me explain to you. First of all, it's a huge comic book, sci-fi, cosplay convention. It's probably the best in the world. But what you may not know is getting tickets to it is only slightly less difficult or more difficult than getting tickets to Hamilton right now.
Yeah, he actually had somebody hit him up and asked. Somebody from San Diego hit him up and asked him, "How the hell did you get tickets, dude? That is hard."
For those of you who watch it, The Big Bang did a whole theory on the guy who's trying to get to Comic-Con.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty funny episode. I've tried. I stopped trying because I just figured I don't have the money. Well, let me phrase that. There are ways to get tickets, but you have to pay an exorbitant amount of money, which I'm not willing to pay to get them. You buy them on the gray market. And I just don't have the context to get them. I want to go one of these days, but maybe when I have an exorbitant amount of money I can spend, but that's another story. But, the mere fact he's going, but he didn't have to pay because he got comped some tickets. All I can say is that brother better move. He better go into witness protection, change his name. Because if I find him, the word of the day is going to be pain. Lots of pain.
Like Clubber Lang pain?
That's right. Exactly.
So here's the funny story as to why.
Prediction of the fight. Prediction. Pain.
So I've been bugging my co-producer Tony Arnold of Whoobazoo.com today when we had this issue with my phone. So just to let you guys know exactly what's happened with my phone.
Who gives a damn about your damn phone? Who cares?
Well,
you're talking about Comic-Con, and you're talking about the goddamn iPhone.
Well,
get a real phone.
It's nothing wrong with my phone. My Bluetooth is on, which my wife complains about. But we have so many Bluetooth Wi-Fi speakers in the home. So here I am. I'm doing the show. I'm trying to listen to the show on the phone. I don't realize it, but my phone has connected to one of the many various Wi-Fi Bluetooth speakers that are in the house. And I've just found out that is exactly the problem. So
you're freaking Ann Coulter going to tweet about it 32 times?
So I just shut the Bluetooth off, and I told Tony, "Hey, Tony, I found the source of the problem." And I just told him what the problem was, and he's laughing his ass off at this because it actually wasn't a problem. It was just, as I thought, a setting on my phone. So, again, that was my error. And we're back in action.
Really, that's 30 seconds. That's 5 minutes of my life I'm never getting back.
Nothing major. But again, yeah, he's out there at Comic-Con, and wow. And you know what? He got out there to Comic-Con, and again, it's the same as the last Comic-Con that he went to in Rhode Island when Adam West died the day before the Comic-Con opens, and then 24 hours before this Comic-Con opens, we lose an icon, a legend. We lose George Romero. The master, the creator of the zombie genre. He passed away, I believe it was 79 years old. And we also lost Martin
Landau. Yeah.
1999.
Mission Impossible.
Did he do any stints on Doctor Who or no?
No, he didn't. No, he didn't do any stints. He may have. Actually, no, I'm wrong. He was a guest star, but he's a minor player.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't a major guest star. He was on the command staff of a couple of episodes.
So we lost Martin Landau, but losing the master of the zombie genre, George Romero, is big, and it's bad enough that The Walking Dead suffered a tragedy this past week. A stuntman had missed the air pillow, the air cushion, and died on the set, and he was well known, well loved by everybody on the set. Everybody gave their statements and stuff, and it's pretty sad to have, when tragedies like this happen. But again, George Romero passed away. I actually shared the story on my page, and I actually had somebody come on my Facebook page, Ken, and said that, you know what, it's a tough loss, but till this day, he said that, I forget who it was, but he said that Night of the Living Dead was one of the crappiest movies of all time ever made. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, do you realize that movie broke so many barriers? You had a movie that was made in black and white in the late 50s, early 60s, where you had a white man as the protagonist and a black man as a hero protecting a white woman. That was, and I heard the whole backstory about that. George Romero fought for that. People told him he was crazy of having a story where the black guy was going to be the hero. And there's so many political things going on in this movie. Even at the end of the movie, when the hero takes a bullet to the head because they think he's a zombie, and then they bring him out, and it's like they're, it's that eerie, news photograph type of still shots as they're dragging him with the hooks off to the pile, and then they lynch him up, and then they burn him with the rest of the bodies. And that, everybody thinks that that's just an eerie, chilling ending, but when you go back and you look at that, George Romero was making a political statement with that whole movie. That whole movie just it created a genre, and it was a political statement at its best. And for someone to say that it's one of the crappiest movies ever made.
Well, hold on a second. I think we need to qualify what we're talking about crappy. From strictly a technical point of view, it doesn't hold up particularly well against today's modern films.
Well, it's a very low. He had a very
but that being said, if you look at the cost versus production value, he did it on what we call today a shoestring budget. Mm-hmm. I think someone said when he died, but they were talking about that the average movie today, the average major film today, spends more on craft services than Romero spent on the entire film. Mm-hmm. And that's including post-production, editing, and marketing. That being said, I think people don't remember, because there's been so many zombie movies since, why that was so important. Because up until that point, it was, except the fact in Hollywood, the good guys always had to win. Mm-hmm. The evil had to overcome. Evil never had a chance. He changed that and saying evil can win.
Yes.
Which is, it rewrote what you could do, and that's the reason you have a lot of these movies today. That's why you had, The Walking Dead. That's why you have Breaking Bad. All these other shows where the good guys didn't always win and weren't always going to win, and if they won, the costs were going to be horrific.
Mm-hmm. Well, you had, but back then everybody was used to that, to the happy ending. He broke, that when you go back to that movie, pretty much nobody survived that movie. Everybody pretty much died in that movie. There was no survivors in that movie. Everybody who was in that movie, they died. Barbara died. Everybody died in that movie. There was no survivors.
And they died on screen, which was unprecedented. No, the heroes never died on screen. Mm-hmm. If they died off screen. Mm-hmm. Or they died, like natural causes or something like that.
Yeah. Yep. And it was very violent. I remember till this day where I was when I first saw Night of the Living Dead. I remember I was sitting at home. It was my mother, my father, me, and my brother, and it came on TV. It came on TV Halloween night, and my mom and dad said, "Hey, let's watch this together." We went in the bedroom, and at that time, there was only 2 TVs. You had one in the parents' room, and you had one in the living room. But because the movie was on so late, we lied, at one end of the bed, and we watched that movie with my mom and my dad. I remember me and my brother being so scared that we had to sleep in the bedroom with my mother and father that night. That's how scared we were of that movie. And then that movie, for me and my brother, was one of those movies that, as you grew up and became a teenager, when it came on, you would tell your friends, "Hey, you got to see this friggin' movie." Yeah. And you tell people about it. And, at that time, there was no Dawn of the Dead. There had been no sequel yet. You went on, you were telling people about this movie.
Right.
Then when Dawn of the Dead finally came out, which was the sequel, so many years later, And that was still, another cult classic, another zombie genre.
Which was, ironically, very ill-received when it first came out by Night of the Living Dead fans.
And again, another black hero.
Yeah, exactly.
In this movie.
Well, I remember, when you talk about knowing exactly where we were, I know exactly where I was. I was with Kevin O'Connell and John O'Connor in Kevin O'Connell's parents' condo on Chiller Theater, Master Chiller Theater. I don't know if you remember that.
Yes, okay. I remember. I remember that double feature. I remember all that stuff.
And I remember they had a special no commercial interruption.
That's right. Yes, that's right.
Movie without commercial interruption, which was a big deal back then. We didn't have HBO or Showtime or Stars. For that was a major thing. I remember, and I remember having a big bowl of greasy popcorn, and I threw up. I was so scared I threw up in the middle of the movie.
And it's funny that you talk about that because I remember till this day there were 4 movies growing up that we watched as kids that was always uninterrupted, uncut, no commercial interruptions. Night of the Living Dead was 1.
Right.
The Deer Hunter was number 2.
Yep.
Sometimes Apocalypse Now would be shown because it was so long. It was shown in 2 parts, but commercial free was the other one. And then the 4th movie was a movie that was only shown during the holidays. And I used to see it in school, but then it used to come on TV. It was The Great Race with Tony Curtis, and I forget who else.
Oh, my God.
Friggin' loved that.
Oh, The Great Race. I haven't seen that in years. That is a classic.
Yes. So, and like you said, you remember the day that you saw Night of the Living Dead. Because it was a big deal.
I remember it. It's because we had to sneak over to Kevin O'Connell's apartment because my parents wouldn't let me see it. And what happened was Kevin O'Connell's father was out on a business trip, and his mom had to leave urgently to take care of her mom. She was kind of sick. So we had the apartment all to ourselves. And we rode our bicycles over to his house so we could see the movie without our parents knowing about it. So, that was my, Whoa, you all right there?
Yeah, no. The wife has cooked food on the grill, and she came down to ask me a question.
Oh, okay. No, but that's exactly. I mean, I remember that. I remember I saw Dawn of the Dead in the theater too.
Well, she won't watch that. Well, I'm trying to get her to watch that stuff with me, but
that's classic. I remember Dawn of the Dead. This is how crazy it was, and I don't know if this is part of the marketing plan or just because they were afraid of getting sued. But I went to the Ramsey Cinema for a midnight showing of Dawn of the Dead, and you had to sign a waiver. They warned you that it was excessively violent and scary. You had to sign a waiver for it.
Yes. I actually, thanks to my brother who's still listening out there in San Diego, my brother, he actually was, he hooked up with a director of a movie who made a zombie movie in Africa. It was a pretty good movie. I forget. It was called The Dead. And the premiere of that movie was here in the U.S. The director came here and it premiered at the Coolidge Theater in Cambridge. We went out there for a midnight showing. And, my wife, she doesn't like those type of movies, but if she's going to spend time with my brother, he's probably going to force her to go to one or maybe two horror movies. I don't know. She likes horror. It's just, she's just not into it like we are.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, you got to define what horror is because there's a lot of movies from the 80s especially that are not horror. They're slasher flicks.
Okay, so let's talk because the 80s and 90s horror went through a transformation. You had your slasher flicks that did scare people.
No, they sickened you. They didn't scare me.
You had your Friday the 13th, which the first Friday the 13th was suspenseful. It was scary. The first Halloween scared the crap out of me, to be honest. But then things got...
No, the first Halloween, the first Friday the 13th, I agree, were horror with slasher sentiments, especially because you didn't know until the very end who the killer was, because it wasn't Jason Voorhees. Remember, people forget, the first Friday the 13th, Jason Voorhees doesn't make an appearance till the very last scene.
Yeah, and it's a dream sequence, to be honest.
It's the mother.
Yeah, and a lot of people, till this day, there's a lot of people who lose trivia bar fights because till this day there are people who will argue that Jason was the killer in Friday the 13th Part 1.
No,
only real heads know that it was the mother. You know,
and the mother admits it in the very last end before she gets decapitated. But like I said, Carrie, the original Carrie. I don't know if you ever saw that.
Scared my butt. I remember exactly where my mother took me to the old Symphony Theater on Huntington Avenue to see Carrie. I screamed out at the end of the movie when the hands came up out of the grave.
Right.
And,
yeah.
I remember that movie scared the crap out of me.
That Rosemary's Baby.
Okay, so here's my thing.
Another horror.
I've never seen Rosemary's Baby.
Oh, I cannot believe that. You have never seen Rosemary's Baby?
I've never seen.
Pull your man card.
I've seen The Omen. I've seen all the Omens.
I've
seen The Exorcist and love The Exorcist.
Oh, The Exorcist is great. The Exorcist is really not a traditional horror flick. It's more of a gothic morality play.
But I've never seen Rosemary's Baby.
Well, Rosemary's Baby is just like, it's sick. It is really sick because it just like nobody is redeemed in that movie. Everybody.
I went through this little stint though, where I went to see Last House on the Left. I Spit on Your Grave. You know, all those crazy genre movies at the drive-in. That we did go and see a lot of those. But I
Spit on Your Grave. Kill Them Slowly.
Yep.
Actually, it's funny. There's one movie. I have an argument with people. Have you ever seen Faster Pussycat Kill Kill Kill?
Yeah, that's a Rob Zombie. Isn't that Rob Zombie?
No. This came out in the early 70s, and I always get into fights with people over what classification it is, whether it's a female biker exploitation chick, whether it's a horror chick, whether it's an early slasher flick. So,
what do you consider it?
I consider it really a genre onto its own. It's really, it's one of those things that pokes fun, and it's a classical criticism of all those genres. It's very female empowering for its time.
See, I thought that was the movie that inspired Rob Zombie's movie career. I thought
it did. Rob Zombie. If you look at Devil's Disciples,
great movie. Great movie.
He admits he was inspired by them because in all those movies there's very powerful female characters. Faster Pussycat Kill deals with a bunch of psychotic serial killing biker chicks. Kill men. And usually in the most gruesome way possible, including demasculinization.
Right.
Do I need to explain what that is?
No, you don't have to.
I mean, and that came out in the 70s. That was
I understand fully.
And eat anything before you see the movie is all I can say.
Yeah. Well, you had a lot of movies like that in the 80s. You had movies like Reanimator.
Reanimator is another great one. Yeah,
that's a cult classic.
And here's the other thing. I have a huge argument. I'm gonna put this out to you. Not Aliens, not any of the sequels. The original Alien.
Yep, that was a horror movie.
In space, I say it's a horror movie. People to this day will argue it's a sci-fi movie.
People will argue, but that genre movie when it came out was considered a horror movie. It is not a sci-fi movie. Aliens is a sci-fi action movie, but
absolutely, Aliens is great, and I love it.
Alien is considered a horror movie. That debate had been out there for the longest time. Now, did you ever see? I'm trying to think. There's a few movies out there that a lot of people they were under the radar, but they were very, very good movies when it comes to horror. There's so many out there that was just under the radar, like those Reanimators and Sleepaway Camps, Miss 45. My brother used to watch one when we had the old Star case. My brother was obsessed with this one, Maniac Cop.
Oh, yeah. Maniac Cop. There you go. Oh,
Robert
God. The last of the
whatever the guy's name was, he was like this actor with this big, pronounced, like Sergeant Slaughter type chin.
That was a great movie.
Was he killed and come back to life, or was he? I forget. Did he die and did he come back to life, or was he?
No. What happened? If I remember correctly, he kind of did. He's like on death's door, and he's gonna die, and they use this like to bring him back to life. He's not technically dead, but like, and he goes all insane, and he's just like psychotic. He's just like
Maniac Cop. It was based in New York. That Star Case. I remember Star Case playing that movie. Like
Maniac Cop has got to be one of the most. It is. It's like Death Wish meets Terminator meets Friday the 13th Part 2.
And again, that's another low budget movie. Cronenberg started out as a cult classic, low budget guy.
There's a bunch of low budget. I'm loath to say low budget because that seems to we're denigrating the quality of the film, and it's not true.
The first two Cronenberg movies that I saw that hit me hard was a soft porn horror film called Rabid. With
Rabid. I don't think I've ever seen it.
What?
Rabid or Rabbit?
Rabid. R-A-B-I-D.
I don't think I ever saw it.
It's Marilyn Chambers in a horror movie role. This was the movie where Marilyn Chambers was trying to get out of porn and go legit into acting. So Cronenberg said, "Let me help you out. I'm going to put you in this film." And at the beginning of the movie, she gets in this bad motorcycle accident, and she gets some type of scientific type of skin graft or something. But what happens is that she ends up with this creature inside of her, and then she has sex with people. And then when she's having sex with people, it bites them, and then it makes people rabid, like a dog, and then they start. Yeah. It's called Rabid. If you haven't seen it, you got to see it. It's a pretty scary friggin' movie. And like I said, it was Marilyn Chambers. She was supposed to go legit. I'd have to look it up and see what happened and why she didn't go. You know, was it because Hollywood didn't accept her, even though she did? Yeah,
Hollywood didn't accept.
She acted pretty good in the film.
I mean, you got to remember, at the time, there were a lot of legitimate actors who did porn because that's what paid the bills.
But she was a big, like, at this time of this time of the film, Marilyn Chambers was like.
Well, huge. Marilyn Chambers was the first model used on the Ivory Snow box. You realize that?
Yes, I remember that. And then she wasn't so pure as snow anymore. So, but you remember Scanners?
Scanners, of course, was a great flick,
which made Michael Ironside a household name. Ironside,
Scanners was another one. There was
The Fly. David Cronenberg did The Fly.
The Fly, the original, not the Jeff Goldblum remake.
Mm-hmm.
There was The Raven,
mm-hmm.
which was based on an Edgar Allan Poe poem. There was there's other Vincent Price stuff.
What would you consider
The Curse of the Red Death or The Red Mask.
Well, I was a big fan of Vincent Price movies because of my dad, because of my mom.
Vincent Price movies were big. Came back to a lot of the art houses. He did a lot of great.
I remember my mother had taken me to see a horror movie, and he made a guy eat himself to death.
Right.
I want to say it was Masters of the Macabre. I can't remember what.
And then there was the Fiendish Dr. Phibs.
The Abominable Dr. Phibs. And
the reason I liked that one was because I figured out what it was before everyone else did.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, he murders the people using the 10 plagues from the Passover Seder.
Yes.
And I'm sitting there going, "Oh, that's this, that's that." And people look at me. It's like, "How did you know?" It's like Passover Seder. We do this every year.
Vincent Price, Alfred Hitchcock, all those guys were ahead of their times. They were,
absolutely.
When it comes to horror and suspense, they were ahead of their times. And then again, you had your blaxploitation horror. I remember seeing Blackula, which was, even though it was a blaxploitation film, it was a very good horror film.
It was a very good horror. I think the problem was that it was mismarketed.
What, Blackula?
Yes, I think it was mismarketed because it really was it was an urban take on the traditional Dracula myth.
Mm-hmm.
And it was less, and I'm saying, why didn't you just do it that way? And said, well, I know. But, oh God, there was also, here's another thing. Okay, you're going to probably yell at me for this, but I don't freaking care. Did you ever see Assault on Precinct 13?
Both of them. I saw the remake and the original.
No, I'm talking about the original, not the remake.
And the original was...
The original, I argue,
really
is a horror film.
You argue that that's a horror film?
Yes.
The original Assault on Precinct 13 by John Carpenter.
Yes. Because all the elements of a horror film, you got your protagonist, they're in an isolated area, and there's evil force trying to get at them, and they got to use they're a group of people who don't normally get together to fight them off.
I think I would have to look at that as a horror.
Yeah. I always thought that was a great horror film.
And you know, it was funny the fact that the man who did the original remade it.
Right.
Did the remake.
I hate the remake. The remake sucks.
Really?
I hated it.
See, now, I liked it. It's not one of John Carpenter's best, but I did like it. I mean,
there's also it's funny. There's two films that one got remade. The original Invasion of the Body Snatchers from the 50s, and then the remake
was made by the same director.
Same director, which I really like, with Leonard Nimoy and Donald Sutherland.
That scared me. That one scared me.
The freaking
Jeff Goldblum was in that.
Yep. Do you remember the last scene in the movie when the woman finds, like, the last scene in the movie finds Donald Sutherland's character, and you find out he, like, has been taken over by.
It's that screech. That
swear to God, I pissed in my pants. I was
I remember seeing that at the drive-in, and the big thing at the drive-in was when something really good happened, everybody would flash their lights and blow their horns and stuff at the drive-in, and that was one of those scenes that got that whole. That both the original and the remake were great. I remember there was many.
How can I forget this? The Blob.
Loved it.
Tell me
I like
crap the Blob.
I like the remake too. I like the remake of the Blob too.
It was bad. The original one would scare the black and white scared the freaking crap out of me.
The original was in black and white. I always thought the original with Steve McQueen I thought was in color, or was it colorized later on?
The one with Steve McQueen's the remake.
Really?
There's a black and white one from the early 50s.
See, no, I thought that was the original, and then it was at that time where color was just coming in, and I thought they re-released it as color.
That one is a remake. There's an original one from the early 50s. Mm-hmm. And one of the things about that one is because it's black and white, the Blob doesn't stand out.
Right.
He's
yes, you are right. Yes, you are right.
Oh,
yes,
trust me.
It's scary.
Nightmares for weeks.
I remember it now. I do remember it now.
It's up the baseball bat, for weeks.
Yes, I do remember it now. It's like War of the Worlds. That was another under the radar. Well, I wouldn't say under the radar, but that's another one that was shown uncut, unedited.
War of the Worlds, sure.
Worlds on Halloween. That was always shown on.
Oh
Channel
yeah, that was always on Halloween.
Always. Another one that had everybody in front of it. You know what? We don't watch TV. A lot of people don't sit at home and watch TV like that anymore. I mean, we did it. We did it here one night. We watched Big Ass Spider. It was funny to have all the family. We watched Pitch Perfect together as a family, and I try to do that every once in a while. To do that, get us to do it as a family, because I miss those little moments. But I remember there was so many things we used to do. Like we. Oh,
absolutely. The idea of family watching together is gone. Because I remember, you're gonna laugh at me, but my mother made me watch Roots. She had read the book. She had read the book.
But again, do you remember when you had to watch stuff because you had to watch it for a reason?
Yes.
Because I remember my parents made me watch Roots. I had to watch Roots.
Oh, I had to watch Roots.
I had to watch Roots. There was a book report due on Roots, and I had to watch Roots. I remember.
Oh yeah, I had to watch Roots, and I remember it was and that was, first of all, it had three interesting. One, it was the first time you saw blacks in major dramatical roles where they were the center. Two, it was shown on consecutive nights.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't broken up, and it was basically your first miniseries.
Yep. You know what else I had to watch?
What?
It was made to watch the movie that was about the nuclear bomb going off. The day
day after.
Yes. It was a 2-night miniseries.
Yep. The day after.
Remember that I had to watch that. I
had to watch that.
I had to write a theme. I actually had to watch it and write a theme in school about.
I had to watch that. I had to watch Washington Behind Closed Doors.
Mm-hmm.
Blind Ambition.
Charlie. I had to watch Charlie.
Charlie. Oh my God. Was that? Oh, good God.
Yep, I had to watch Charlie.
The best. I actually had to read the book, Charlie.
Yep. Well, we had to read the book, and then part of that was we had to watch the movie at home. It was Channel 56. It came on. I remember we had to watch Charlie. Fahrenheit 451 used to come on Channel 56. I remember we had to watch that one.
Right.
And write the theme. That's actually coming out as a remake. I can't believe it's taken this long for Fahrenheit 451 to return to the big screen. It's been a long time. It's a great book.
It's been a long time, and it's one of the greatest books. Have you read the book?
It's one of Ray Bradbury's best.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, one of his best books ever written was
like
that.
One of the finest books in Western literature.
Is there's censorship in there. There's there's all types of crazy stuff in there.
Yeah.
And I remember the scene where the woman, sets her house on fire, and the firemen come to the house to burn the house because of the books, and she stays in the house.
Yeah.
Remember that scene spooked the hell out of me.
Oh, good God! I had nightmares for months after that.
Yeah,
I agree with you. I remember, you're gonna laugh at me, but we had a ritual on Friday nights in my house. Number one, we had Shabbat dinner because we were Jews, and we always had roast beef and challah and wine. It's the only time I was allowed to drink alcohol. Then we had marble cake downstairs and watched the Brady Bunch as a family.
That's awesome. You watched the Brady Bunch as a family.
I watched the Brady Bunch as a family.
We watched Disney as a family. My dad was a stickler about us watching Disney as a family.
Oh, my dad hated Disney.
Oh, my dad was big on Disney for the family.
Hated it.
7 o'clock Sunday nights.
Yeah.
I've been watching Welk.
It was Sunday night, 7 o'clock, and then at 8 o'clock was a $6 Million Man.
Mm-hmm. And you got to stay up to watch that if you were good. So you knew you had to make sure you were good to watch $6 Million.
Right, exactly. Man. Yeah, exactly.
Good.
Oh, God. You kidding me? I cried. Tell me you didn't cry when Jamie Summers originally died.
No, I didn't cry.
You didn't cry? I was crying like a...
Nope. I was the only time that I was really excited in $6 Million Man was the introduction to the Fembots, because I couldn't wait to get the Fembot toys. That one, and then when $6 Million Man jumped the shark, and they brought in Bigfoot.
Oh, that was Andre the Giant's great.
And that's when the show officially jumped the shark.
Oh, come on!
Even though it was awesome, I was happy about it. It jumped the shark when they brought in Bigfoot.
Right, because they're up until that point have been incredibly realistic.
And it was like I remember it was a ratings. I remember like they built up it was like advertising for 2 weeks about Bigfoot fighting Steve Austin. I remember it was like this whole big deal about that, and you couldn't wait Sunday night for Steve Austin to fight Bigfoot and meet up, and it was almost like Ali getting ready to fight. You went to school all week, and your teacher was telling you to be quiet because you was talking in class with somebody about Steve Austin going to be fighting Bigfoot on Sunday night. And oh man, I remember that. It wasn't even really. It was kind of a letdown. The fight was kind of a letdown, But I remember
Bigfoot would have kicked his ass.
Yeah, it's a big freaking deal. But it was actually a jump the shark moment.
I don't think it jumped the shark then. I think it still had a couple good episodes left.
No way. You don't. I think that was the jump.
When they brought Jamie Summers back and they had Max the Bionic Dog, that's when this whole series.
That was after Bigfoot.
Yes, that was after Bigfoot.
Yeah, so that would be the jump the shark moment. That's where they kind of
Max the Dog. Yeah,
kind of got out of hand.
Yeah, they got a little out of hand.
So
but come on.
ABC for years was ruling. I remember ABC for years had Sunday nights locked down.
Oh yeah, they had locked up. They were the family thing. They had all the family shows. We only had 3 networks.
ABC was killing them back then because I remember they had $6 Million Man, they had Charlie's Angels,
which my mother refused to let me watch.
Yep, I remember. NBC got BJ and the Bear on Sunday nights,
right?
And you used to have to make that decision if you were going to watch BJ and the Bear on Sunday nights on NBC, and then you had. The 60 Minutes staple was still there.
60 Minutes was 7 o'clock on Sunday nights because that's the other thing we used to watch.
And then you had, I forget what else NBC had. Oh, then NBC started dominating because they brought in Knight Rider. And Knight Rider
that's the 80s. That's later on. That's
when NBC really started to become a powerhouse with Knight Rider and the Cosby Show and all that stuff. And then out of nowhere, you had this little network come by the name of Fox, and then before you knew,
that's in the late 90s.
Yeah, in the 90s, Fox came. I remember Fox came along, and I remember it started with it was just The Simpsons and what's her name, the comedian there. Well, actually, it wasn't even Simpsons. It was
what happened? It was Tracy Ullman show, which the Simpsons were started up.
Yes,
and then when that got canceled, they spun the Simpsons off to its own show.
And people tend to forget that that run of Tracy Ullman, the Simpsons were part of that run. So when you talk about the Simpsons and their amazing historic television run, people forget about the fact that the Simpsons was on Tracy Ullman, which was on for years right before Married with Children, and then you had 21 Jump Street, and then you had X-Files, and then then they started doing multiple night programming on Fox. But yeah, Simpsons was part of.
They had you gotta remember they had Space Above and Beyond. They had Firefly.
Two great space shows. They just couldn't keep up with the budget.
They couldn't figure out what the frick to do with them.
Yeah. Millennium was another great show on Friday nights. But it was just a horrible night. But that was just a show that was ahead of its time.
Right.
It was very.
There were a lot of Fox shows that were ahead of their time.
Yeah. Well, X-Files was.
X-Files definitely was. Well, X-Files jumped the shark
ahead of its time. Did you watch the new season?
X-Files? No.
Yes, that was 2 years ago. No, you didn't. You didn't watch it.
I didn't watch it. No, I'm pissed at them because they Mulder's dead. He's not dead, and Scully's not.
Mulder was alive. Was very much alive.
I know, but it just.
She did have a baby. They had a baby together. That was taken.
I know, and that's just. I'm sorry.
I liked it, and I'm hearing it's coming back for another season. Just don't know.
Happy.
I was very happy with
there was a couple of shows on the old CWB, I think it was. Remember that? There was a short-lived network. It was WB.
It was the Black Network. It was UPN, which was like the Black Network.
Yeah, the UPN. No, but there were a couple of shows. There was High Incident. There was Long Shot, which lasted like one season. All these really good shows I liked all lasted one season.
CW had become the landing zone for DC Comics shows, and I remember when Supergirl premiered on CBS, and I was like, why is Supergirl on CBS? That is just an epic fail. It should be on the CW, and now Supergirl lasted, I think Supergirl lasted maybe 2 seasons on CBS, and she's now on the CW.
You got to put on the CW because they don't. CBS doesn't know how to do that. Yeah, crap. They haven't had a superhero show since the 50s, since the original Superman with George.
Everybody tells me that Green Arrow is a great show. Everybody's telling me The Flash is a great show.
I saw Arrow. No, it's not Green Arrow. It's just the Arrow, and I don't like it. And I love the Green Arrow comics.
Really, I'm hearing it's very good. I'm hearing they're both. I'm hearing both.
Well, first of all, it's probably a well-written show for what it is, but what it is not is honest to the comics.
Mm-hmm.
If you tune in and expect to seeing the comic, don't. It's a totally different show.
I'll have to check it out because I know I peeked in on the first 2 episodes of another show, Legends of Tomorrow, which is a group of people. It's Firestorm, Hawkeye, Hawkgirl. It's a whole group of people, and they go through time. I saw the first 2 episodes. I really liked that show. That's also on Netflix. And I think I want to just do some catching up before this Justice League movie comes out because about 2 weeks ago I actually sat down and finally watched Batman vs Superman. And, I heard so much bad stuff about Batman vs. Superman. I sat down one night here. The wife had some friends over. And, I said, no, I got some time myself. Let me go watch Batman vs. Superman. I think I was sick that weekend. That's why I was I think I was laid up. And I sat down and I watched Batman vs. Superman. And to be honest, it wasn't as bad as everybody claimed it to be. Thank you, babe. Oh, my God. She got me a double gulp 7-Eleven double gulp iced coffee. Cheese and rice, Ken. Hold on, let me just take a sip of that.
What have you done to deserve that woman is all I got to ask.
Oh, it's so good.
You are spoiled. I don't like you and your brother, you're dead to me. Both dead to me. You hear that?
He's mad because my brother's in San Diego at Comic-Con and now you've brought me a giant big iced coffee.
Dead to me. Both of you.
Yeah. You're welcome to come by here for dinner anytime, I actually thought about doing the show by the pool tonight and let Tony produce and do the show by the pool. I
told you, we got to do the floaties. You got to get in the pool with the floaties.
In the pool and do the floaties. To be honest, we could actually do the show from the pool. If Tony produced this show, we could actually be on our phones, on Skype, and sit in floaties and do the show from the pool.
Right. Sure. That's really going to happen. Yeah. And what dreamland are you thinking that's going to happen?
Well, first of all, the dreamland would be getting Tony to produce the show. If he's
listening. Right, for the show. Well, we're in the pool. Yeah, right. Dude, put the crack pipe pipe down, step away from the crack pipe.
Oh, man, anyway. But, again, as I said, guys, wow, this show's flying along at 7:45. It's July 18th. Guys, guess what? We are just 2 weeks away from preseason NFL football. And just a month away from, 2 months away from NFL returning back to its glory, where I become a crazed wild man and abuse kids with brushes and things like that. For those who've seen the video of me hitting India with a brush last time doing her hair. But again, I digress. So
as God can do.
I gotta wish my stepdaughter Haley, who turned 10 this weekend, Sunday. She turned 10 years old. We went down the Cape and spent our weekend at the water park at this Cape Cod inflatable water park. And I'm sitting there and Ken, you know how pissed I was to go to this inflatable water park? And I'm like, you know how many adults probably had this thought in their heads and have never done it? And then someone finally decided and said, hey, let me make a giant inflatable park with all these inflatable things and charge people $20 to $30 to come in and make $1 million. You know, I'm sitting there, I'm like, holy Christ, this is crazy. I mean, I wish I was the guy who, you know, it's like you mentioned today.
If I bought Microsoft at 10, I'd be a billionaire.
Well, it's like you said today, you announced that there's Sharknado 5 that's going to be coming out, and it's like, imagine there's a guy who sat in a meeting of a TV movie studio, and they were all going around and said, hey, let's hear some ideas. And this one guy actually got up and said, hey, I got an idea for a movie. It's a tornado, and it's sharks dropping from the sky and killing people. You know how many people probably said, you're fired or whatever. And now this guy has a franchise of 5 Sharknado.
Exactly. I seriously, I want to be in the movie. I hope to God that there is some, cell phone footage of that original pitch movie, of that original pitch meeting. I want to see the guy trying to describe Sharknado. Yeah, it's like Jaws meets Twister.
Yeah. That's pretty much how you would pitch it. It's Jaws meets Twister. And you're probably either going to get laughed at or kicked out of the studio. But
okay, have you ever seen the original Sharknado? And this is the reason why I can't see any sequels. Okay?
I haven't seen any of the Sharknados. I'm not a big fan of Ian Ziering at all.
Okay, I saw Sharknado on a dare. And this is why this movie is so bad.
Okay, is it campy?
It is campy to the extreme.
That must be why. That must be the appeal of it.
I mean, clearly, no one. Let me just say this: whoever designed this movie clearly was poking fun at all those summer blockbusters.
Sci-Fi owns the rights to Sharknado, doesn't it? Isn't that a Sci-Fi network? Okay.
Yes, I mean, clearly, whoever was a big fan of '70s disaster movies, Jaws, Towering Inferno. Airplane, Earthquake.
I love all those movies.
Yeah, you can tell because there's so many homages to them. But there's one great scene. There's one great scene that just sticks into my head, which I still can't get over. And I don't know how they convince everyone this is a good idea. There's a scene where the shark comes down into a pool, and there's a guy. The guy is like trimming hedges with a chainsaw, and he falls into a pool, and the shark eats him. And then he cuts his way out of the shark's stomach with a chainsaw.
I like that. That's pretty awesome. That's in Sharknado?
Right. Yeah, it's in Sharknado, the original.
Oh, my goodness. I might have to check that out now.
Now, if you know your Bible, what that is an homage to is Jonah and the whale.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
So I'm looking at that going, there's somebody, and I swear to God, it's got to be a Jew. Only a Jew would think about this. Is the kind of things that we thought up when we were in Hebrew school. They're like, no, because like when you're like 12, 13 years old, and you're stuck in Hebrew school, and you're raging hormones, and the rabbi is trying to teach you all about, we're constantly doing evil shit like that, right? Slaying the firstborn. We're doing illustrations of the angel of death decapitating babies. I am convinced there's some kid who was in Hebrew school who they're discussing Jonah and the whale, and he was figuring out how he could get out of the whale. Well, a chainsaw, right? Come on. Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
I'm gonna have to go to Jewish school once in a while.
I mean, this is when you're 13 years old and you're horny and you're bored. This is what you did in the 70s.
I think that's awesome.
But I mean, I swear to God, that's why I say I love Sharknado only because there's so many homages to Jaws and Earthquake and Towering Inferno and all those great 70 disaster flicks.
Mm-hmm.
And what was that? Oh, there was another one in the 70s. Come on. What are the great 70s disaster flicks there were?
Earthquake. Roller Coaster and Sense Around.
Right, exactly.
And Sense Around, where we had to come all the way from
Poseidon Adventure. Remember that?
I have that. I'm looking at Poseidon Adventure right now in my DVD case. Ernest Borgnine, one of the worst death scenes. I almost cried. Well, not Ernest Borgnine, Gene Hackman. Gene Hackman's death scene in Poseidon Adventure pisses me off.
Do you remember in the beginning of the film when the guy when the ship capsized and the guy falls through the glass ceiling?
Hmm? Yep. Who's the captain? That was one of them. Who's the captain of that ship?
Leslie Nielsen.
Yep. Which made Airplane. Which was why Airplane was so funny, because it was just so much stuff crammed into Airplane, which was a homage to disaster films.
Everything.
Leslie Nielsen was the pilot for that plane.
Leslie Nielsen played the doctor. Peter Graves played the pilot.
Yes, that's right.
Trust me, I know everything about. I can quote you that movie virtually line by line. People forget that Leslie Nielsen before Airplane was a dramatic actor and a darn good one.
Yep, and he made his money off a Naked Gun and Police Story.
Oh yeah, he was brought into Airplane. The whole reason he was brought into Airplane because he could play the doctor with a straight face, because that's the character he's always played. Mm-hmm. Very serious, stern, professional, totally emotionless people. And so he's making fun of himself.
Barbara Billingsley had a great scene in Airplane.
Oh, well, yeah.
Spoke jive.
Oh, yeah.
My mother made
me. Sorry, I speak jive. I mean, remember when they're like translating and the guy says shit and the guy goes, golly?
Yeah, she's like the whitest. Barbara Billingsley was like the whitest person in America next to Carol Brady. She was Beaver's mom. You can't get any whiter than Beaver's mom. And she's speaking jive. That was just...
That was
just hilarious.
Don't you remember the scene when Leslie Nielsen says... I forget who the young guy goes, surely you jest. And Leslie Nielsen deadpan goes, no, I'm not kidding. Stop calling me Shirley.
Yeah. And you know what's sad, Ken? It just stinks that we're so PC as a society now, because these great movies like Mel Brooks would go down, hands down, as one of the greatest directors of all time.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
But people are so PC today. Movies like History of the World Part 1, Blazing Saddles. If you show Blazing Saddles in the movie today, I'm pretty sure you would have Sting.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, come on. The whole black sheriff thing?
I could see people protesting that movie right now. I could see people outside of theaters wanting Blazing Saddles to be removed from theaters.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's a classic, historic, funny friggin' movie. Just the scene where he tells him when Gene Wilder says, "Oh, you forgot to wash this morning." He starts rubbing his hand and flips his hand over.
Yeah. No, there was that. Blazing Saddles. Oh God, was it Frankenstein? The Frankenstein monster. Frankenstein. You could never make that again today.
See stuff in
Walker.
Yes, young Frankenstein.
You could never do that. You could never do Springtime for Hitler. I mean, the producers.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me you couldn't do that today.
Yeah. And he's making a sequel to Spaceballs, and I'm trying to figure out how is he going to make a sequel to Spaceballs without pissing people off? Because again, Spaceballs had a lot of gay and Jew bashing in that film.
Oh, good God, yeah. But you gotta understand, the people producing were all Jews and gay, so I mean that's how they can get away with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We'll see what happens.
There's a lot of movies you couldn't make again today. There's just no way you could do it.
Yeah.
Oh God. Without getting everybody.
Your old Cheech and Chong.
Oh,
movies
please.
were very non-PC.
Oh, good God. Doper flicks.
Those films would not
No way.
make it today. Your coming of age movies.
Oh, Sweet 16, The Breakfast Club,
Sweet
all
16,
those.
My Private Tutor, My Teacher, Porky's.
Oh, Porky's would never get made today. You kidding
Porky's
me?
make it today? Does Porky's
No
make
way.
it?
No way. You'd had everybody and their mother objecting to every second of that film. There wasn't one not offensive thing in that entire movie. And I love Porky's.
That Porky's would spawn 3 films. If you had told me that, I would have never have guessed it would have spawned 3 movies.
No way. You know, no way.
Actually, it spawned 4, didn't it? Didn't
it
Porky's
might be a direct video release. You know what could ever be made again today?
Porky's 2.
Right.
Porky's Revenge. And then wasn't there a 4th
Porky's? Return to Porky's was Porky's 3.
Yeah, but I thought there was a 4th one. I'd have to look it up. My phone is dead.
You know what you couldn't make again today? Logan's Run.
Why? Why couldn't you? I like that movie.
I love that movie. Everyone dies at 30 and all the casual sex they're having.
Well, they actually have a movie like that that's coming out right now. There's a movie right now where we're overpopulated and kids have to go and take a test. And if you fail that test, they kill you. I just saw the trailer for it. I forget the name of the movie. That's
another movie they couldn't make again today, which I really wish they could, even though they remade it. If they were to follow the original storyline of Death Race 2000.
It's been made.
No, but they changed it all up. I know that.
You're right. They did change it completely.
I'm talking about going back to the original storyline of the cross-country race where you get mowing down nuns.
Yeah, points. There's an actual scene in Death Race 2000 where they have people in the nursing home and they lined up the people outside the nursing home so Frankenstein could get those points.
Exactly. You couldn't make that movie today. Oh, please.
Sylvester Stallone coming off his first. That was Sylvester Stallone's first film.
Actually, it was second. Remember, he did that softcore porn.
Well, yes, I don't want to mention that, but but yeah, Sylvester Stallone was Machine Gun Joe Turbo. Right,
exactly.
And it was David Carradine.
David Carradine as Frankenstein with his hand grenade.
Was that a Cronenberg film?
I don't know. I loved it. I thought it was one of the greatest films of all time.
My dad took us to the drive-in to see that movie. You know what? I got to thank my dad, and my mother for not censoring us as kids and being able to allow us to see films that were thought-provoking and made us think. Because I know back in the day, it
was directed by Paul Bartel.
Really?
Yeah, I'm looking at the IMDb database right now.
What else did he make? That doesn't sound like.
I have never heard of this guy.
Was that his only movie? See, this is when I have to get the guys from Steve's Video Store on and get them on copy for Vicky Love and those guys. They would know all of this crap at the drop of a mention, to be honest.
Right, exactly. I don't remember him.
Wow, I thought Death Race 2000 was a Cronenberg film.
Nope, wasn't.
Like his early films.
Wait a minute. He directed Usual Suspects? No.
The director for Death Race 2000?
Yeah. No. That's Bryan Singer. Yeah. What is this thing doing?
Yeah.
No. Paul Bartel. Born in 1938.
Born in 1938?
Yeah, he majored in theater arts at UCLA. Received a Fulbright scholarship.
What else did he direct?
I'm looking. Looks like he. I'm trying to find out what else he directed, but I can't seem to find anything else.
Well, as I was saying, I got to thank my dad and my mom because they took us to a lot of drive-in movies to see things, and they took us to I remember a lot of our movies we went to see at the Saks 57, and we got to see them at the Symphony Theater. I remember my dad took me to Chinatown, and I was able to see.
That's probably one of the greatest films of all time.
What's that?
Chinatown.
No. He would take us to Chinatown.
Oh, take you to Chinatown. I thought you said you
my dad would take us. Saturday mornings, my dad had this ritual where him and his brothers, my dad's brothers, they would get together and they would go to Chinatown. And they would go see the newest Bruce Lee, because at that time, you couldn't see martial arts movies unless you went to Chinatown. So we would go to this theater that in the daytime they would show Chinese fight movies, and then at nighttime they would show porn, because it was right there. in downtown Boston in the combat zone. So in the daytime, you go there and you see. I remember my dad would take us to these Sonny Chibas and these Bruce Lee movies, and you see like Five Fingers of Death. We saw all the Bruce Lee movies, Fist of Fury, all this stuff. So my dad took us to see that stuff at a real early age. I remember my dad taking us to see all the James Bond films. Now, back then, taking your kid to see a James Bond movie, I'm pretty sure, even though I was young and I loved James Bond, I'm pretty sure it was pretty risque to take your kid to see a James Bond movie.
It was, yeah.
And I remember my dad taking us to the Symphony Theater to see Diamonds Are Forever, which was one of my most favorite James Bond films. Diamonds Are Forever, Sean Connery. I would say that was probably before The Lotus. Sean Connery's car and Diamonds Are Forever was.
Well, it's funny. I always felt Diamonds Are Forever had the two best villains, Mr. Kidd and Mr. Wing.
Kidd and Mr. Wing. Yep.
I thought they were the best Bond villains either. Although technically they weren't Bond villains; they were henchmen.
Well, they came the closest to killing Bond when they buried him in the middle of the desert in the pipe. They came closest to kill. They were the closest I could remember of coming to
no question about it. But I love those two because they were just, they were the anti-Bond, with all their one-liners,
Were they gay? Let's put that out there.
What? Oh, of course they were gay.
Were they gay without being gay? Because back then
totally
you had a lot of things. Totally gay. Yep, you had things in movies that they couldn't say, but Party was like, I get what they're saying here, and I feel like they were gay.
They were gay, no question about it. They were gay. There were so many interludes that suggestions that they were gay. Oh, please. Ask your brother. Ask your brother.
I'll have to put that on my Facebook page later on tonight.
They were totally gay. Remember the scene where one of the guys, I think it's Mr. Wynn, comments on how good looking this chick is, and Mr. Wynn gives the look. He said, "Well, for a woman."
Yes. Yep.
I mean, come on.
Isn't Diamonds Are Forever also Bambi and Thumper?
Bambi and Thumper. You kidding me? Oh, yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Still had Bambi and Thumper, and I can't remember who they were, but those were...
They were... Willard White was being kept prisoner at his summer home.
Mm-hmm.
And they were his bodyguards, custodians, people kept him in line.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Don't you remember the scene where he walks in to see Willard White, and he goes... And it's like he introduces himself, and he goes, "Oh, I see you've met Bambi and Thumper."
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, wow, 8:03 we are at.
Diamonds Forever. That's my favorite. One of my favorite Bond movies. Oh
man, this was like an episode of Steve's Video Store tonight. Man, we blew right through the show. Ken, were you able to do your homework before we get out of here about finding out of if we are coming up on dogs being able to be claimed as dependents or
okay? Here's the thing. It's a bit complicated answer. Do we have time for it? Because it's kind of complicated.
I'll give you about 5 minutes before we can get off.
Okay. If you're asking strictly, can they be deemed as dependents? The answer is no. Okay. However, and this is the big however, there are now provisions that will allow you to take certain medical and educational deductions that are usually limited only to dependents.
Okay.
If you can establish a long-term relationship with the animal.
Okay.
For example, I don't know if you take the standard deduction or if you itemize. If you itemize, you can take your medical cost of your medicine and medical appointments off your taxes.
Really?
Yes, you can if you itemize.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it might be work for you because you have a large family. Because how many kids under 18 do you have?
4.
So,
no, 3. No, 4.
So I mean, between you, Morning Dawn, your medical expenses may be up there if you consider all the checkups.
Actually, no. Actually, it's 3. Terrell turned 18.
Oh, well, yeah, okay.
So he's.
But it looks like you are being able to deduct certain medical and dental with regards to long-term pets. Yes.
Really?
Another thing. So they're not dependents. They don't qualify as dependents, but they're getting preferential treatment.
Mm.
So I don't know if that answers the question.
Yep. No. Because like Lynn has 3 dogs that she raises, and almost like her kids. And I know that it is coming where there's certain things that you can claim now and stuff like that. And a lot of people don't know what they can and what they cannot do on taxes and things like that. So just to get some information out there. But
by the way, the guy who Paul Bartel, I'm reading his IMDb biography.
Yep.
Guess what he also directed?
Let me know.
Eating Raoul.
Oh, that was a good flick.
It was an awesome flick, and he directed it.
That was another Starcase movie that was all over the place.
He directed that. He died of liver cancer in 2000.
Yeah. So, hey, before we get out of here, we got to get off the air. I got to give Travis Partington a big shout-out. He filled in for me at the Bay State Bucks game last weekend. He did a good job, so I got to say what's up to him. I'm going to be missing some weeks. We are actually going away camping in August, and then me and the wife are going to be going away for our one-year anniversary. We're actually going to Niagara Falls.
Really?
Yes.
Can you be any more cliched? I mean, that is...
What being cliche? I've never gone to Niagara Falls before, dude.
That is
How is that cliche? It's cliche if you go on your honeymoon. We're not going on our honeymoon. We're going
on a one-year anniversary. That's close enough.
How is that close enough?
It's close enough.
Well, what are we supposed to do on our one-year anniversary?
It's paper, you moron. Do something with paper.
Dude, I know one-year anniversary is paper. Could you see me giving my wife paper, huh? Oh, she said I gave her paper. It's a plane ticket. See? Ah. Gotcha.
Survey says.
She said that's the anniversary gift is paper. It's the plane ticket.
Yeah, no, sorry. Survey says.
But we're going up there. We may be meeting up with Mike Fiore. And it's tough because here it is. It's our one-year anniversary. We're going away to Niagara Falls. And, of course, when they announce the big fight of the century, McGregor against Mayweather, and they come out and they say, and this fight will take place Saturday night, August 26th. And you know, like you have that devil on one shoulder and that angel on the other shoulder automatically pop up. And the angel is like, Keith. you know that's going away.
Did you see that Facebook meme right before the Patriots won the Super Bowl about the guy who's getting married on Super Bowl Sunday? And he's got 2 tickets to the Super Bowl and he needs someone to cover for him. Anybody interested? Go to this church at 10 a.m. She'll be the one dressed in white.
That was the moment I had. The angel and the devil pop up on one on each shoulder. Bing! It's like, yeah. And I gotta mention that. Yeah, and to be honest, my wife, when she knew that this was my wife, actually, she tried to get tickets out to Vegas for the fight, but the freaking tickets sold so fast. Like, they were gone.
Oh, yeah, you were going to get tickets. No.
Gone. And you know what? Oh, my God.
You were going to get no way.
Because I've never been to Vegas, dude. So I can imagine going to Vegas to see a fight like that for your first time in Vegas. I would probably die of a friggin' heart attack.
Dude, if you did that and you didn't bring me with you, you're dead to me, too.
Kid said I'd be dead to him if I didn't bring him. She said she knows you were at the wedding, but that's a different story.
Hey, I was at the wedding on the goddamn boat, okay?
Yep.
Cut me some slack. I deserve Vegas.
And you know what? I got to say that again. We're coming up really fast on our one-year anniversary, and I got to just say again, thanks for everybody who did come out to our wedding. A lot of people throw these elaborate, giant, big, freaking out-of-control weddings, and I must say, I got to thank everybody that came through. We had a very nice, small, because we both have big families, and we wanted to not piss anybody off, and we decided let's just keep it small. And the best way to do it, we did it on a boat where we knew it was going to be limited, and we could tell people, hey, we can only have 80 people on the boat, and we're going to have our closest friends who've been involved with our relationship from day one. Yeah, there was people that didn't make it to that wedding because they weren't really – we wanted to make sure everybody was involved with our relationship from meeting from day one. There was some – you were there. You were there when her friend almost killed her at the fundraiser. I don't know if you knew about that. Let's get into this story real quick before we get out. Did you know that, Ken? That one of Dawn's closest best friends almost killed her one night while we were all together. Her niece. You remember when we went to a fundraiser in Randolph for Perry Palucci, and it was the food drive event, and the band was there. They were playing, and it was me, you. I think your mom and Lynn did go, didn't they? Yep, they did, because they actually went out.
All right, get to the point where you almost killed you. Hurry up.
What happened was that, and I think you had just left, and the band took an intermission, and the drum bass broke. So when they came back from intermission, you were heading out. Dawn's mother and sister were heading out. The drum bass broke, so they had to take another intermission. So during this 5, maybe 7-minute break, Dawn's niece Jill decides, because they announced that while they were waiting for the drum bass to get fixed, that shots were going to be, I want to say they were $2. $2 for every shot you buy. I walked Dawn's mother and sister out to the van. By the time I had come back in, Dawn's niece had Dawn. She must have drank, 10 shots. Woohoo shots. Ken, she was friggin', she just 1 year out of the bypass, and you know, you're not supposed to have sugar and all. Oh my God. She almost killed her. She tried to tell her no. She almost killed her. Almost killed her.
10 shots? I couldn't do 10 shots in my heyday.
And
much less now.
I come back in and she was a totally different person. I'm like, what the hell happened? I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. Yeah, she almost got in a fight. Some lady was. I have these issues with women when we tend to go out.
I know. I was there, remember?
Oh, yes, you were there for one. Yes, you were. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. But, which would have been good because she had an attorney already present, so.
I don't know nothing. I don't know. See nothing? I don't know nothing.
So before we get out of here, actually Thursday, I think it's this Thursday, Jacob Taggart is announcing his run. He's making it official. Jacob Taggart is going to be doing Counselor at Large. I believe it's Tinray Cafe that he's going to be at. Actually, Peter Zimbor did reach out to me. Peter Zimbor and me are working on a day or a time that we are going to hook up, and we are going to have Bill Carpenter on, which you know Bill Carpenter is running for another term here in Brockton for mayor. Jimmy Pereira we had on the show already. He's running against him. And there's a young man, Julio, and I don't want to butcher his last name, but he's a Brockton firefighter. He was an EMT, but he just pulled his papers this week. He's going to be running for mayor. It's going to be interesting to see this guy. I guess he's got a lot of military credentials and things like that, but I really haven't seen this guy around in the community. So let's see what's going on with him. Maybe we can get him on the show, but it's going to be a very big election. There's a lot of rumors. There's a lot of things going around. There's people out there throwing stuff around that we just don't know. You know, and Ken, you know what bugs me when people talk about stuff? Like Bat Bus got brand new buses. And people are online and they're complaining and saying, well, we're laying off teachers, yet we're buying new buses. Again, Bat Bus is a separate entity. It has nothing.
Yeah, it's a different thing. It's capital improvement. Blah, blah. Yeah, there's a total different
drives
budget.
me up a wall. People are pissed because Keith Ave Park was done over with a grant. They've got a new fountain, and people are all over Brockton Hub, and they're complaining because they're saying we're laying off teachers, and we've got a brand new fountain in the park again. It's grant money. People, if you take grant money and use grant money to pay teachers, guess what? Bill Carpenter's going to be in jail for misappropriation of funds. So
It's called fraud. In case you're wondering what the term is, it's called conversion. That's the legal term.
Yeah, and can you real quick before we get out of here explain to people how the grant process works when you have these things for parks and things like this?
Okay. What happens is you apply to an agency, either federal, public, or private, for money to do a particular activity. Let's say Sinista1 wants to open, the Brockton Youth MMA Academy. And the purpose of the grant is to supply money to have, MMA training for at-risk youth up to 21. Okay? Something you're very interested in. Mm-hmm. You then can take that money and decide that, hey, we're not going to use that money, but we're actually going to, fund the Brockton Boxers.
Mm-hmm.
Can't. Probably a good idea, but you can't. It's illegal. Because you're giving money for a specific purpose.
And a lot of people, for some reason, a lot of people these days are talking politics because they were involved in the Trump election and stuff. There's a lot of people that are talking politics out there today that they don't know politics. And oh, my God, it's like my biggest pet peeve right now. And you try to debate with these people, and they're arguing their point, and they're saying, but yet the teachers should still get their pay. Why are we spending? And it's like because that money is established for that purpose.
Right. Called a budget, you morons.
Yeah, there's a budget. When I worked for the T and oversaw a budget, and we had to put EMP fans in the bus, and that was done with grant money. I had to put in a specific government code when I did payroll to show and prove that money went towards that bus, and I was allotted 30 hours a week per bus to install those EMPs in the bus. If I took that money and put it towards overtime to work on buses for something else, I could be in jail. I could have lost. Yeah, so people, you got to understand this before you get out there and you start complaining about stuff like that. Learn your politics. Learn about how your government works. Go sit down at a city council meeting or something and just find out how it works. Because a lot of people out there, they're complaining, and you're making yourself look really stupid by not knowing how it works. Everybody thinks that your government money is one big till and you just pay everybody out of this till. No, you don't.
No.
It doesn't work that way. Everything has a budget. Everything has a budget, and that budget is for this, and this budget for that. Like I tell people all the time, when you have winter and you have salt, and when you get towards March and April, everybody always says, Jesus Christ, why are they salting the hell out of the roads in March and April? Why? Because they have to use the salt up. Because if they don't use all the salt up, guess what happens to the budget for the salt the following year? They cut it. They cut that because they say, oh, you didn't use that much salt this year. We're going to cut your budget by this much. So they use all the salt. They get rid of it all so they can get the same amount of salt every year. Is it stupid? Is it a pain in the butt that they do that? Yes, but it guarantees that funding coming in every year.
Damn right.
Utilize it and do what you can. So, Ken, before we get out of here, it's 8:17. We went a little bit over, but, it was good stuff tonight. Good conversation. It's going to be a good podcast. What do you got to say, Ken?
What I got to say?
Yeah, before we get out of here.
Well, let's start with thanking all of our listeners, all 12 of them. And the other thing I want to say is wish everyone out there a health and happiness. And guys, stay cool. It's getting really hot and humid. Be careful out there. Don't exert yourself too much. A number of people I know have already gone to the hospital for heat exhaustion and other things like that.
Mm.
And and for all my Trump fans out there, I'm still waiting on the replacement for Obamacare. So anytime you guys get your head out of your asses and get your own party to get a replacement, do call me. But I won't be holding my breath.
You know what? I love it. I love people. I saw a thing on MSN today, and it said, Republicans' health care plan is almost dead in the water again. And then below it says, but Obamacare is still a failure. I'm like, wait a minute. That is the biggest oxymoron in media. How is Obamacare a complete failure? It's still there. It's still running. There are things, yes, you don't like about it, but it's still out there. It was approved. It's doing what it needs to be done, while you have this Republican health care plan that's now gone to the third time now, Ken? It's gone and it's
gone down 3 times, yeah.
So what's the real failure? I would say Trump care is your real failure, people. I'm just saying. How do you call one a failure and then say this is a failure? I just don't get it. Right now, Obamacare is out there. It's helping a lot of people still. And I know Kevin Jackson hates Obamacare.
Everyone hates Obamacare because it's working.
Yep, and then someone made a comment and said, well, Scalise is having this with his bills. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Scalise works for the government. He doesn't have Obamacare. All the senators and everybody have their own
they got their own health plan. No, that's what people have been saying is great. I have no problem with abolishing Obamacare as long as the senators have to buy their own health insurance.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So, hey, I got to get ready. I got to get out of here. I got a lot of stuff I got to do. And, hey, I had a little incident. We posted one of our shows over at a Facebook page called Podcast Town, which was created by this kid, Mike Dick, D-I-K-K, who kind of busted my balls after I posted some stuff out there. And you know what, dude? Get over yourself. Your group isn't that big, and the last time you posted a podcast was like October of last year. We're still here doing this. We've been doing this for a long time. I'm actually one of the guys who started podcasting before it was known as podcasting. So just to give you a little insight there. But anyway, all I got to say is I got to thank my friends and family for tuning in, hanging out with us. I got to say happy birthday to Haley Beeson, 10 years old. And other than that, SpongeBob, you know what you can do. You can take us home. And, before we go, Ken,
Yeah.
Marilyn Chambers, Rabbit, David Cronenberg, add it to your list.
Got it.
All right, with that, SpongeBob, take a
Well, see you next Tuesday.
Thanks for tuning in to the booth at Whoobazoo.com. Please make sure to tune in for more booth next Tuesday night at 7 p.m. New York Eastern Standard Time. Become a fan on their Facebook page and check out their podcast on iTunes. The booth is hosted by Sinista1, Z-Man, and Ken Diesel.
I've got to start hanging out with friends that are a little more intelligent and understand politics and stuff. It's just that I'm up on this level up here, and all my friends are down here. Me, nah. You guys, nah. Maybe a little more down in here. Screw you guys, I'm going home.
Who?